What's going on, everybody? I am back after quite a cold. My voice has returned, so we're back on the Kelvin. So you can see here we've got the top of the saucer. We've mounted the light here for the bridge. That's all nicely glued in. We've got that front opening also cut out. We do have to contend with the fiber optics, but so far we've got this more or less dialed in. Now the bottom of the saucer, we removed the impulse engine that we actually had in there last time, and I've taken off a lot more of the plastic. It was just too tall, honestly, and the top of the saucer was sitting kind of proud there on the rear of the deck. So I decided just to remove the light. We scraped off more plastic. We can glue it down. We've got the strings and lights coming right out of that. We're ready to go ahead and seal that up, and then we can string out the fiber optics, and then we should be good with the bottom part of the saucer. Now I will have to go ahead and relight block some of this area because I kind of scraped it up hacking away at that plastic, but that's okay, not a problem. Now I've also turned my attention to the hanger bay and the deflector dish that sits here in this pod on top of the saucer. Now we have all of our fiber optics drilled out, but we need to go ahead and figure out that LED up in the front and make sure that our clear parts are going to fit and we have enough light diffusion. So this deflector dish is actually two parts. We have a center ring that fits right up inside. So I have it here. Let's go ahead and just place that inside. You can see what I'm talking about. Now once that is in, we can then just close up the other side of the fuselage, and then you will see what I'm talking about here. There you go. That's what it actually is going to be glowing. And we have the dish that goes right into the front of that, plugs in, and it's also clear. Now, of course, I need to figure out exactly how that's going to work, because if the lights are not on, you're not really going to see it. It's not going to be that accurate. So I need to go ahead and figure out if I can go ahead and paint this dish, or if I have to just leave it clear, or if I can maybe hit it with the clear blue or something and just kind of play around with that a little bit. I don't think it's impossible to do. I'm just not really sure how to go about doing that. So that's something we need to work on for next episode. But otherwise, it looks pretty simple. Just one little plug plugs right into the center of that hole. Maybe I can kind of drill that out and I can glue it in, or maybe stick some fiber optic in there. I don't really know. I'm going to go ahead and figure that out kind of off camera. So not a big deal. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and shift over today and push forward. We have a lot to do, but I want to concentrate on the hanger bay and this top LED. I want to get that LED wired up. I want to make sure that we have everything kind of neat and tidy, and I want to string out the actual wires and see how this is going to all come together and if we can fit everything through that neck. First thing we're going to start off with here, though, is the bottom of the warp nacelle. I want to go ahead and drill out some of these openings. It's really important that we have enough room in the neck to go ahead and string all the fiber optic and all of the wiring. Now there's a lot of wires to go through here, and there's hardly any space. I don't want to just open the entire thing because I'm going to lose a lot of the meat to go ahead and attach it to the bottom of the saucer. So let's go ahead and cue up a time lapse, guys, and we're going to push through. I want to go ahead and get all the openings here drilled out more effectively so that we can fit more wires through, and then we'll be back and see what we can do after that. So we have our nacelle more or less drilled out. Everything looks great. And I moved over to the blue LED that we're going to use for the deflector dish. Now this is one I made last time. I'm going to go ahead and kind of refit it a little bit. I'm going to shorten the leads. I'm going to go ahead and reattach the resistor and just get everything all nicely squared away. I also want to go ahead and heat shrink the tubing. I want to replace the positive wire with a blue wire so I know where it's going. And then we'll go ahead and replace the negative wire with another color, and we'll have a color pair. We can write that down on our list. I'm going to use my soldering iron here. We're going to make sure that all the wires are nicely tinned, and we're going to go on from there. We're going to attach here the resistor onto that positive side of the LED. There we go. That should be decent enough. And we're going to replace the negative wire with another color, and we're just going to push forward. We're going to queue up a time lapse though, and we're going to really try and get this all dialed in, because I want this to be a nice secure connection. I don't want it to come apart inside the ship, because then I can't fix it. I definitely can't do anything if it's not connected, and I don't want to open up the entire kit and rifle around through wires. So let's go ahead and just move on from here. We're going to queue up a time lapse, and let's get all of these wires attached, tinned, and ready to go. This should be fun. Let's do it. So that actually looks pretty decent. We have the LED all ready to go. So now I need to figure out the pathing for the wire. I need to go ahead and make sure that my cables are routed nicely through the upper part here, from the hanger, the deflector dish, all the way down through the saucer, through the neck, through the nacelle, and then down through my tube into the base. I don't have the base worked out quite yet, but I think we have a good idea of how to do this. Now this is going to fit right up here on top, and there is a back plate that just plugs right into the back there. So looking at that, you actually have a little bit of a pass-through we don't have to really worry too much about. So I can open up a couple of holes here in the upper part of the saucer, right there beneath that neck and that bridge part, and we should be ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple marks. We're going to queue up another time lapse. I'm going to hollow out the back part of this section here. That still should give us a nice attachment point, and we'll be able to go ahead and route those wires through, plus route down the fiber optics. All right, fingers crossed. This is all the space we need. All right, so we have everything opened up. I like how it looks. I think we'll have a very decent amount of cable routing that we can do. And there's not a whole lot of wires up here in this upper hole either, so I'm not too concerned. The LED here is going to fit right against this support. Now there's a little bit of a gap between the right and left side here on each of these supports, so we shouldn't have too much trouble there. Just go ahead and gluing this down and then fitting the halves together. Let's go ahead and test fit it here. I'm going to drop that clear dish right in front of that. And we can get it actually pretty close to that, and it should really glow, and I'm hoping it'll diffuse it nicely throughout the entire clear part. That should be cool. So let's go ahead and turn over to the glue gun, and we're going to use this hot glue to go ahead and secure the wires and the LED in place. Now, the nice thing about glue guns is you're not really going to do too much damage to the wire. I was worried about using super glue because it might eat through the outer exterior rubber. I don't want it to do that. I want it to be as inert as possible. And glue guns are really, really good at that. So I'm going to apply some glue, let it sit, let it cool. It's not the quickest of drying glues, but that's cool. And then we'll be back and we'll check the wiring. With the glue gun all nicely dried here, we have a nice path for the cables to go down through that neck down into the saucer section. Let's go ahead and plug in the other side of the upper hole. Yep, I think that's going to be nice. It's going to work well. So let's go ahead and see what it's like without that. Make sure everything is lined up. We have to do a little bit of carving on the inside of the left side of that hole, because one of those support beams are a little bit too narrow. So we're just going to hollow that out a bit with the X-Acto knife, and that should give it a bit more clearance, and then we should be able to glue this together no problem. Now, of course, I still have to go ahead and run the fiber optic, so we're not going to glue it today, but I wanted to kind of mock it up and see how it looks. That fits beautifully. Awesome. So we do have to go ahead and test fit it with the clear part in there because, well, I don't want it not to fit with the clear part. And yep, make sure that back wire is through that little trench. Nice. So that does work. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and see if I can't kind of mock this together and get an idea of how this is all going to go. We use a little bit of blue tack tape just to secure this together so it doesn't come apart. I've got the wires fed down through that locating hole that I opened up. And let's see, let's pull the wires through, make sure that everything is lined up nicely. Actually, that fits pretty decently, I have to say. So that should not be an issue right there at all. I should be able to also have enough room to pull down through the fiber optics. That should be nice, down into the saucer, and then down through the neck. Now, the neck's going to be the difficult problem. So let's go ahead and check that out because, well, we have to make sure that we have everything passing down through these openings we've already drilled out. We might have to enlarge them slightly, but we'll know more once we have more wires. So with our hanger bay and deflector dish hole mounted here, just real quick with some tape, let's check the engineering hole and the nacelle. All right, that's going to be super tight right in there. It doesn't fit exactly easily, but I think with a little bit of finagling, we should be able to get all the wires lined up through those little channels that I opened up. But I don't know if you can really tell, there is not a lot of room in this model, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But if we can go ahead and kind of pair off these wires a little bit more efficiently, we can feed them through the channel and then down through this opening. And that's where our tube's going to go ahead and fish down the wires all the way through to the base. So right here, kind of move that like that. That's not too bad. Let's go ahead and grab the other part of the engineering hole with the nacelle and we'll plug it together. And then, well, we'll see how it looks. There's not a lot of room in this neck, that is for sure. We might have to do some drastic cutting and altering. All right, let's see how this looks. Just attach these together. All right, they are more or less together. I threw some extra tape here on the engineering hole and the saucer. And as you can see, all the wires do come through, but that neck, oh man, it is tight in there. We're going to have to do a lot more surgery. Luckily, we only have 2 more LEDs to go, and both these are actually in the nacelle, so it's not going to be hard to go ahead and feed them right down through that opening. So that's going to be great. But as you can see, everything kind of does fit together. And I think with a little bit more work, we should be able to go ahead and fit the rest of these down through the openings, down through that neck, which is, of course, the problem area, and then down through the nacelle, and then all the way to the base. So that's kind of cool. Now, just for fun, guys, I want to go ahead and wire this up to my tester, and we're going to flip it on, and we're going to see how it looks. So pardon the low light situation here, guys. I wanted to have that full effect. Flip it on. There we go. So you can see the soft white light there for the bridge. We've got the red on the impulse, and we have the blue on the deflector dish. And that blue, of course, it's not shielded. It's not diffused. There's nothing in front of that. It's just pure blue light. So that's going to be very bright. But actually, this looks pretty cool. I like it. I approve of this. I'm not sure how much lighting we're going to really have to diffuse or how much is going to be broken up by the clear parts, but I think we are on the right track, guys. We really are. Not too shabby. But anyway, everybody, we're going to go ahead and call it quits for today. Episode 6 is done. We're going to work a little bit more on some of these pathing for all the wiring. We'll be back next week for episode number 7 here on the USS Kelvin for the Apollo group build. Until then, you guys know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here next week for more exciting adventures on our modeling bench. Until then, guys, take care, stay well, and we'll see you soon.